Punk rock Supergirl. Is that what you guys are asking for? Is that what you're interested in? Are you just clamoring to see a strong, edgy Supergirl in the new James Gunn DCU? Because that's what you're gonna get if these leaks and rumors are true. Welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idle, and I found an article that just tickled my funny bone over on comicbookmovie.com. Granted, these are just about leaks and rumors that we're seeing on on a Reddit page, so take them with a grain of salt. But I do find it interesting that in an upcoming universe all about rebooting the DCU that nobody is asking for, from a creator that nobody cares about doing it, they are still going with this strong female narrative even in the first Superman film before we even really have Superman established. So let's get into this article. Before we do, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to grow the channel immensely in 2024, and you can help be a part of that. Our first year was explosive, and we're going to take it further. And of course, we're trying to make sure nerd culture stays pure and stays strong without any of these individuals that should have been gate kept out. Supporting me and channels like mine are the best way to do that. Now let's read here. Superman legacy director James Gunn rumored to be casting Supergirl, who is humorous with punk rock edginess. Now, look, I'm a punk rock fan. I've grown up listening to punk music. Most of my bands were punk bands. And I'm here to tell you, humor and punk rock, those are great things. Do I want them in my superhero genre? Yeah, no, not particularly. I mean, Spider-Punk's a cool character and all, but that's not what I'm looking for when it comes to Supergirl, and it's certainly not what I'm looking for from a James Gunn production, because I'm pretty sure he considers himself punk rock, and he's like as punk rock as Green Day. He's a very sellout, easy-to-palate version of punk rock. He ain't no Sex Pistols is what I'm getting at. But let's go through this article and see what travesties they've got to sell us. It was recently reported that Superman legacy director James Gunn plans to include Supergirl in his upcoming reboot, and we now have a possible update on the filmmaker and DC Studios co-CEO's plans for Kara Zor-El. And you know what? Here's what's really annoying about this, because I got no issue with Supergirl. In fact, in the comics, she's pretty dang cool. Do I care about her in these movies? At least not this one. It's the first film in the upcoming DC universe, and if I was interested in it, which let's be real, I'm not, and the vast majority of individuals aren't, you're gonna see this flop just as hard as Zack Snyder's verse. Yeah, no one wants to see Supergirl in the first Superman movie. It's called Superman. You need to establish the ground rules of a new universe. You need to establish your new Superman, who is going to be very compared to Henry Cavill to begin with, because whether you like the Snyderverse movies or not, most people genuinely accept that Cavill himself was a great casting for Superman. Even if Man of Steel wasn't the greatest movie, the idea of Cavill as Superman was spot on. Now you're going to have someone new come up to take up the mantle. You gotta sell us on whoever that new actor is and give us a movie to see that version of Superman. But of course it wouldn't be modern Hollywood if they weren't shoehorning in these unnecessary strong female characters, because you gotta meet those DEI diversity quotas somehow. According to a rumor posted by the r/DCEU leaks moderators, although we reported the casting would be finalized by director for Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, we've now heard that this is not the case. Gunn will cast Supergirl. This makes sense given how early into development Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow is, and it's said that the DCU's take on Supergirl will be humorous with a punk rock edginess. Now, James Gunn has had a fair few films that are quite funny. I mean, let's be real, the Guardians of the Galaxy films, they get a chuckle out of you, but do we want more of that sort of humor, especially for Superman? Superman is supposed to be a shining beacon of light, the best humanity can offer when he's not even a human. Why punk rock edginess from Supergirl? And the article gets better a little bit later on to detail how she's going to be punk rock edgy, but again, his humor just sort of falls flat. It's a very one-note sort of thing that once you've seen, movies like Super, you kind of seen them all. Super is Guardians of the Galaxy if it got to go more dark and R-rated, so by all means, I do recommend checking it out. It's a pretty good film, but that's not what I want from Superman. He's the one character I would not trust to do. Like, James Gunn, he's got a wheelhouse and he's good at it when he's in it. Superman ain't it, and factually, frankly, punk rock Supergirl is proof of that. She'll also have a toughness that comes after witnessing the death of her home planet, Krypton, as a child. And of course, that toughness is going to be what she uses. She's going to teach Superman. I can see it now. Obviously, I'm speculating, but don't you think that a tough, edgy, punk rock version of Supergirl will be the one to teach Superman about his strength and about how to harness and hone everything and sort of make him a chump in his own movie? Because I can see the route that they take with Supergirl Supergirl being one where she is actually the main character, and she has to give us the Superman that we all know and love. Truth, justice, and the American way. Obviously, they're going to cut out the American way. You know, it's 2023, and the movie's coming out in 2025, but you get the point. Krypto the Superdog is also described as a key part of Supergirl's story. So, you know, famously, Superman's dog, Superman's best friend, if you will. Well, yeah, he's going to be a key part of Supergirl's story now, so you couldn't even give Supes that. You couldn't even give him his trusty, faithful canine companion, because even Supergirl's got to have you. Why not giving her like a cat or something? Is it because the Marvels did it first? Are you upset because the MCU, when Carol Danvers beat you to Super Cat? While the current plan is said to be for her solo outing to shoot in the second half of 2024, that would likely make it the second DC Studios movie released in theaters, suggesting the shared world will be built around Superman and his extended family than Batman, which will make a nice change. I mean, I guess it would make a nice change if we didn't already see what Hollywood has done in bastardizing these female characters. We've already heard the leaks that the X-Men movie is going to focus predominantly on women, which again, if you're an X-Men comic book fan, I talked about this yesterday, feel free to check that video out after this. Most people love the X-Men as a team. They don't care about the gender dynamics. Look, Supergirl, she was never an A-list hero. We're talking about the rebooted DCU here. Don't you think we should kind of get the basics out the way first? Superman, Batman, Flash, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern. And if you want your diversity, give us John Stewart Green Lantern. He's a black dude. Your boy loves some John Stewart Green Lantern. He's an awesome character. But you don't need to shoehorn in a B or even C-lister like Supergirl when we don't even have a Superman movie that's apparently just dedicated to Superman. You have enough on your plate to try and juggle in establishing an entire new franchise, an entire new universe, when we already saw how disastrous the previous one was. And you think in modern day, when everyone's already jaded on these strong female character types, that shoehorning her in is a good idea? At what point will Hollywood learn? And that's why so many of us are of the belief that they know the answer, they just don't care. They don't want to learn. There's nothing to learn from. The message is more important than the actual art of the film, which is a real shame because Superman's been around for almost 100 years now, and this is what he's being reduced to in his own film. Last month, we learned that Anna Nogueira will I assume I pronounced that correctly, will pen the screenplay for Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. The actress and playwright is making her foray into screenwriting with the DC Comics adaptation, so, you know, based on this, I would imagine it's her first movie, so yeah, let somebody who's never written a superhero script, or really a script before in general, let her foray into screenwriting be with a multi-$100 million superhero production about a C-list superhero to help kick off your new extended universe.
Not a great plan.
Though she was also quietly tapped to pen a Supergirl movie for Warner Bros. And that Supergirl movie that got canned, by the way, that never saw the light of day alongside Batgirl, when the studio was developing a Sasha Calle-led The Flash spinoff. The Scarlet Speedster solo outing was in post-production at the time, but the project was scrapped when James Gunn and Peter Safran took charge of DC Studios and moved from Walter Hamada's planned DCEU slate. This new Supergirl movie is based on Tom King's hit Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow run, published between 2021 and 2022. So yeah, it's based on modern comics at that. They're not even going to give us good classic 80s Supergirl. They're going to give us comics from 2021 and 2022. Right, remind me where comic book sales were in 2021 to 2022, because if I recall correctly, they weren't in a good place. They've been getting crushed by manga since like 2018, give or take. Name for me any key Supergirl story arcs that you could find from 2021 to 2022. I'll kick back and wait. Yeah, you couldn't think of any, could you? Because they don't exist, because no one has story arcs that anyone cares about from those eras, unless you're maybe Superman, Spider-Man, or Batman. It's just those three. You can't tell me about any Avengers runs, you can't tell me about any X-Men runs, you can't tell me about any Wonder Woman ones, and you certainly can't tell me about C-list Supergirls runs, unless you're really invested in modern-day crappy comics, and at that point, yeah, you probably didn't read them anyway. You may have bought them just to say you support female empowerment, and they're just sitting there collecting dust somewhere in a desk that you use to have your drawing tablet on so you can make furry art. That's my guess. Superman is a guy sent to Earth and raised by loving parents, where Supergirl in this story, she's a character raised on a chunk of Krypton. Gunn explained in a video announcing the DCU slate back in January. She watched everybody around her perish in some terrible way, so she's much more jaded of a character. That's what we want, jaded jaded Supergirl. We don't want to see the female counterpart to the beacon of light. No, we want to see a tough girl with these masculine characteristics, all worn out, upset at what the world has become, upset about what her life's become, taking that anger and frustration out on Superman most likely, because once again, in these modern superhero movies, you have to have these strong female characters taught down to males. Yeah, I'm normally the dude on Saturday Night Hypnosis who actually advocates for kicking back and waiting, saying, hold on, we should give it a chance. We haven't seen any signs of quote-unquote wokeness. I ain't doing that with this. You wanna know why? Because this is the first Superman movie in the entirely new universe, and they're already adding Supergirl, and she's apparently gonna be punk rock, edgy, and a jaded character. That doesn't sound like the Supergirl I grew up reading. I defended the Fallout trailer. I defended Furiosa. I'm not defending something like this because we all know where it's going to go. Because if Marvel's doing it, then DC is going to do it too. DC can't help but copy Marvel after the success of the MCU. Well, I guess now you're going to copy the absolute failure of the MCU as well. There's a reason people call it the MCU. And you're throwing your hat in the ring with that. You see Marvel's consistent failure ever since Endgame, and you thought, let's also copy that model by shoehorning in these strong female characters that nobody cares about into the male's story, and see if that makes you boatloads of cash. Man, Hollywood, the death of the superhero film can't come soon enough. Now, granted, they'll probably start shoehorning in female video game character-led movies where they can go ahead and trash masculinity that way. Or you could just, I don't know, adapt video games to have cool female characters. You could do Parasite Eve, but you would rather, include movies and video games and comic books and all these adaptations that you want to take from something that's been established for years upon years and alter it to fit your worldview. Because no one's going to go see a Parasite Eve movie. No one even knows what Parasite Eve is. No one's going to go see a Supergirl movie either. That's why you're putting out a Superman movie first and you're shoehorning her in. Because you know this stuff doesn't sell. This movie comes out in 2025 and I could be entirely wrong. And if I am wrong, by God, I will admit it. I will shout it to the heavens. Leon was wrong, and it turned out Superman Legacy wasn't woke, and Supergirl is awesome. I would love to say those words, but I really, really doubt I'll ever have to. And those are just my opinions. Let me know yours in the comments down below, or let me know on X, where you can find me at BoltTheWord. And please do subscribe. I'm a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news every day, even when it's news like this that are apparently just rumors and leaks from Reddit, but they count for something because I really want to rant about this. And let's be real, this does sound like there could probably be quite a bit of truth to it. But I also cover anime, movies, music, Magic the Gathering, you name it. Hit me up on Instagram at wordsofparadise_Leon. And remember, it's all here in the Nerdosphere, and this has been Words of Paradise.